All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Together Talk. I'm Reverend Rebecca Burrow. I am the founder and CEO of Building Reconciliation, Inclusion, Diversity, and Gender Equity. To our friends, y'all already know we're known as Bridge. We are all about trying to bring reconciliation into the world to help increase equity and inclusion. So, this night is a very important night for us, as most of you all know, we are in this holiday season. And of course, during the holiday season, uh, sometimes things can be enjoyable, but there's also times where when a person is grieving, things can be rather difficult. And so on this evening, we want to talk about good grief. You all remember Charlie Brown? Good grief, Charlie Brown. Well, good grief. And we want to talk about enjoying the holidays while also coping with grief. Now, of course, I did not come alone on this evening, and I have a few friends with me. And so I'm going to bring them onto the set. Good evening, Carrie. Good evening, Sarah. Good evening, Darlene. Y'all come on in the room. I want to make sure that you all remember at Tuesday Together Talk is all about the conversation. So make sure you talk back at us tonight by leaving your comments wherever you are. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, make sure you leave comments. Good evening, Karen. It's so good for you all to join us. And so, with that being said, I want to go ahead and bring in my very special guest for this evening. I have, we have Anne. Good evening, Anne.
Good evening.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday Together Talk. And we have Viv. Good evening, Viv. Thank you for joining us for Tuesday Together Talk.
Good evening. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And we have Lisa. Lisa
Good
is one of our
evening.
faithful Tuesday Together Talk members. Take two members. And if you ever are in our private chat, you know that Lisa is good for finding us good content to talk about and discuss, especially when we're talking about politics. But tonight we don't need the politics on. But thank you, Lisa and Ann and Viv, so much for joining
You're
me for
welcome.
this very special conversation. Now, just in case you don't know, I think everybody that might be watching right now already know these are the Hadley girls. Okay. Sisters. For those of you that do not know them, they are sisters and we have something in common. We are going through this holiday season and we're grieving, but we're also still going through the season with hope and joy.
Mhm.
But we want to just take some time this evening to help. I want to say normalize grief.
Mhm.
I think oftentimes people are afraid of grief. They're afraid of people who are grieving
Mhm.
because they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And I think,
Mhm.
especially in our society, we love to put people, uh, you know, just kind of keep them over in the corner if they're grieving
Mhm.
because
Mhm. Mhm.
people are just frightened of what grief brings out and what it might triggers in them. So, with that being said, if you are experiencing any sort of grief, please make sure that you have a support system. Um,
Mhm.
and we will talk with Dr. Yolanda White at the end of the program. She's going to also share some very special, helpful tips for grieving. All
Mhm.
right. So, y'all ready to get into this conversation?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's go, ladies. I want to just ask this first question. Viv, I'll start with you. What are you most looking forward to during this holiday season?
It's very simple and vanilla. Being with my family, especially my immediate family, now that, mom is gone. And, but spending quality time, I want to try to ensure that we spend quality time, which actually I pretty much feel like all the time that we do spend together because of the
Yeah.
closeness of our relationships within our family. Um, I I just want to, I guess, want to really capitalize on spending quality time with my immediate family. Uh, Basically, I want to seize the moment.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Lisa, what about you? What are you looking forward to during this holiday season?
Well, pretty much the same. For me, we've all been raised in a household where family has always been of utmost importance. And as some of you'll see on some of our Facebook pages, our family on my father's side, we make it a point to get together every year and we do something as a group. So just to continue to embrace that, but probably embrace it more fully because, you know, as we get older, I notice how time is getting faster and passing so quickly. It's like the blink of an eye. So, like Viv said, the important thing is for me is to be able to seize the moment and make that time, spent with family that much more important.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anne, what about you? What are you most looking forward to?
Same for me. Looking forward to being with my family, and spending the time, and even actually to just even still reminisce about past time and memories of happy times,
Mhm.
and even sad, because sometimes the sad helps you out to get to a place where you need to be and understand and say, hey, you know what, I learned something from that though. So just spending time with my sisters and my dad, especially my dad, and family, because life is short.
Yes.
We never know
Mhm.
the day nor the hour. But yeah, just spending time with them, and having that comfort with my
Mhm.
sisters, especially my sisters, and just spending that time with them and being able to talk with them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you all for sharing that. I think for me, what I'm most looking forward to, oh boy, hmm, I have grandchildren. And so I'm hoping to be able to spend some time with those grandchildren.
Mhm.
I think what has been difficult for me is for the first time in my adult life, I am now living without my kids because they're grown. My husband is gone,
Mhm.
transitioned, and so now I'm like, what do I do? What am I supposed to do with myself? And so I thought, well, maybe I can go take a walk on the beach, but you
Mhm.
know, because my family is so far away. But I think that I'm gonna have to find a way to get with them and be with them during this holiday season. Last holiday, I did get to travel to Indianapolis and spend time with my family, and
Mhm.
Lord knows I needed it. So
Mhm.
yeah. So
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
now, as I this morning, let me tell you, it's so interesting. I My smoke detector started beeping about 4 something this morning, and I just couldn't handle the noise of it. So I found myself having to go out to the garage, get the ladder out so I could change the batteries. The only thing is trying to reach these ceilings in this house. So I had to climb the ladder. And it triggered a memory really quick of my husband last time that I needed to change my smoke detector battery in our great room. My husband was here to change it. It was
Mhm.
that memory was
Mhm.
so quickly. And then I looked over at my Christmas tree and all of it just came rushing in. So
Mhm. Mhm.
holidays or just any event can
Mhm.
trigger a memory, and it can bring joy and it can bring sadness. Uh,
Right.
so Lisa, I
Mhm.
want to ask you, I remember when we were talking the other day, you were talking about something about your mom, and you
Mhm.
were talking
Mhm.
about there was something that triggered those memories around Christmas time. Will you share with the audience?
Sure. I was coming home. First of all, there's a couple things. 4 p.m. is my usual time to always call mom on my commute from work to home, which is
Mhm.
in about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on, you know, if it's summertime, it's 45 minutes. If it's during the normal school hours, it's an hour. But 4 p.m. has always been our time that we would talk. And I can honestly tell you that first couple of months, the first month was really rough for me. Going home, leaving to work at 4. And so I made it a practice to call my older sister Vivian. And if when she wasn't available, then I called my newly retired cousin Pam.
Mhm.
So one day Viv wasn't available, so I called Pam and she texted right back, says, "Hey, it's 4 o'clock. You're on your way home. I'll call you in a minute." so so she already knew, that was a routine for me. So for a while, leaving work at 4 was kind of depressing for me. But I'm not in that space anymore, thank God, because I still do talk to Viv on my way home. But also now that it's Christmas season, I've been listening to the one of the radio stations that just plays 24-hour Christmas music.
Mhm.
So mom's has always been a love of music, and she had the Nat King Cole album. Ann and Viv, y'all, I'm sure y'all seen the album. I'm dating myself because that's I'm in my 50s now, but she would always play the Nat King Cole album the entire Christmas season, and it came on the radio the other day, and one of the songs that he sung was Merry Christmas. I immediately teared up because it just took me back to when mom would play that song, and to this day Nat King Cole always brings tears to my eyes. It's joyous tears, so it's not like I'm boo-hooing, but I usually shed a tear or two. But then I wipe the tears and then I sing along with the song. But at the same time, it just brings back those great memories of how our holidays were spent.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we would say, uh, me and my sisters, we would say when we hear the song, even before this December, whenever we would hear that song played on the radio or whenever, we would
Mhm.
always say, okay, now it's officially Christmas
Officially
Mhm.
Christmas.
because
Yeah.
of mom playing that album. I think that's the
Yeah.
first song on that album. And it's
Mhm.
entitled A Christmas Song.
Mm.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that just made it official to us because it was a tradition for our family for years
Mhm.
and years and years and years. And we're talking about, I'm the oldest child. I'm
Hmm.
65. So that just lets you know
Hmm.
how
Mhm.
long that we had played it. And so, and I still to this day, I ended up, thankfully, I found a
You found
CD
the
of it.
cassette. Oh, the CD. Okay.
Yeah. I think I found a cassette too, but I did end up getting the CD
Uh-huh.
some years ago so that we would always still have that
Mhm.
music
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
it was
Mhm.
a thread of ours. It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
it was a part. We
Hmm.
felt like we had to have it.
Hmm.
So we still play it now. I'm the person who always brings the Christmas music
Yep.
to our Christmas gathering, and that's what we do. We keeping the tradition alive. I mean, it's a no brainer. There's no second thought about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's just automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
And for those of you that are watching, this is the first Christmas that you all will celebrate together without your
Hmm.
mom's
Hmm.
physical presence with you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yes.
so, for some of you that are watching this evening that can relate because you're also going through a first,
Yeah.
um, I want you just to consider what Lisa and Viv and Ann are sharing. They're finding ways to hold on to the those memories, those important things.
Mhm.
And music is it triggers
Yes.
kinds of
Mhm.
different emotions. One minute
Mhm.
you sit and laugh, and the next minute you're crying.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
for my family, my dad, who passed away, well, the day after Thanksgiving 8 years ago now, but he was, always the day after Thanksgiving. The Christmas tree is up and all of that, and the Jackson Fives when we were little kids.
Mhm. Yep.
Jackson 5. It's so I can't not, I
Mhm.
can't not hear a Jackson 5 song at Christmas time and not
Mhm.
have these fond memories that takes me back to a time of not just the joy of Christmas, but also that physical presence of my dad, which always made me feel protected.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
and so I'm
Mhm.
wondering, as you all are thinking about your mom, what when you think about the music and things that was played in the house, what other things might, I guess, trigger memories or what have you about the good times that you share with your mom? Maybe it was that special meal or something, or
Mhm.
maybe it's her laugh or something during the holidays.
Mhm.
You share
Mhm.
something with us, Ann?
Oh well, for me, it's every year so far after Big Sis had stated that we'll have Christmas in Tallahassee every year.
Mhm.
I would take out that time to go and help mom decorate. So um
Mhm.
it's been a little hard, a little heavy
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I don't have, her here to
Yeah.
help use me
Mhm.
decorate this
Mhm.
year, but I did so with a lot of strength, just kind of pretending that she was here, and I also actually used all the decorations that
Yeah.
we always used and put up. So it gave me a lot of good memories of, and then I
Mhm.
laugh because some of the stuff I'd be like, "Mama, don't put that up," or "We ain't got to put that up," and then I turn around and the next morning she got it up, and I'd be like, "Oh Lord, I just let it stay there."
Yeah.
So it's been fun and it's been funny because some of the stuff that I tell her don't put up, I ain't put it up.
Mhm.
but it's just missing that, especially with the fact of not actually decorating it at mom and dad's home.
Yeah.
But those memories were really, really fun
Yeah.
because she always, sat outside doing the lights and everything, and I'm trying to get the lights together and stuff and wrapping them around the pole, and you be careful. And I'd be like, I'm careful. So yeah, those memories for Christmas for me are definitely
Mhm.
the fun memories and what I really, 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 really miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
it's also and worth me mentioning too for Thanksgiving when we were all together, we had the nieces come up and my great nieces and then my niece and her husband. And so we were cooking and we were making mac and cheese and I was hoping to grate the cheese. So Ann reaches up under the cupboard and pulls out mom's 40-year-old cheese shredder. And I'm looking at it and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh. My Tupperware. She bought that thing 40 years ago and it's
Yep.
still working.
yeah.
Yep.
But it's a lot of hand movement. But as we were using it, those great memories of mom popped
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So even,
Yep.
little things like that,
Right.
it
Yeah.
I mean it creates the good memories. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Khalil Gibran, I think, talks about love uh, in a way that helps us understand the emotions that we are
Mhm.
seeing on this evening.
Mhm.
In order to experience grief and sadness, you had to have known joy, right?
Oh
Mhm.
yes.
you know,
Mhm.
and so that's how for me some days I get through. Like when I am right now, my Christmas tree, one's up upstairs, um, and then one is up downstairs. The one
Mhm.
downstairs has absolutely not one bulb, light, or anything on it. And funny thing is because my husband was so funny about Christmas, he was not into commercialism of Christmas at all, but I had to
Mhm.
have a Christmas tree. Um, but I would always say to him, he wouldn't help me decorate anything, but I told him, I said, you got at least put 3 bulbs on this tree.
Yes.
And he would put his 3 bulbs on the tree, but whenever I finished with the tree, it was always this grand production, you know. And he would always say, babe, that's a good looking tree. So now it makes me smile because I can hear him say, babe, that's a good looking tree. But oh,
Mhm.
how I miss, you know, his presence and seeing his
Yeah.
face light up,
Yes.
even though he wasn't in there this Christmas. He could appreciate his wife's effort into this tree. You know,
Oh.
it's that balance that
Mhm.
I think we try to find as we're grieving. We try to, you
Mhm.
know, hold on to those things
Mhm.
that seem small and, you know, maybe insignificant to other people, but they're so powerful in our lives and in
Yes.
our memories.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
I want to read a
Mhm.
comment. Darlene says, Christmas was my mom's favorite time of the year. She passed away 10 days before Christmas.
Mhm.
This time of the year is hard for me, but I keep going. Oh, Darlene, our prayers
Mhm.
with you throughout this holiday season.
Mhm.
And my hopes is that, you know, you can always reach out to, you can reach out to me or whomever you need to reach out to support you through this holiday season. We might cry on each other's shoulder, but or we
Mhm.
might, you know, it could be tears of joy. Rachel says, I will definitely keep you all in my prayers, Lisa, Ann, and Viv. My father passed away in
Thank you.
2007, and it's still hard for me to cope with his death, especially during the holidays. May God be your strength and comfort. And
Mhm.
Rachel, we also pray for you
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
God
Mhm.
continues to strengthen you and comfort you through these holidays. And Rachel is also a Tuesday Together Talk, Take Two, one of our group experts. So, Rachel, don't just make sure you reach out, you know, if you need our support
Yeah.
throughout this
Mhm.
holiday, and I'll be following up and checking in on you. Um,
Mhm.
Carrie says, sending you a big virtual hug, Miss Darlene. You hear that, Darlene? You're getting the
Mhm.
hug now. Christmas lights, trees, kids laughing, cakes and pies galore
Yep.
make me think of her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so you all are saying yes. Which one of you, either one of you can share something as you chimed in on that. Yep. Yep.
My most cherished thing was that, again, with me being the oldest child and the oldest daughter, mom and I would start helping mom. I believe I was in second or third grade, at least that. And I would stay up late at night while with my mom while my siblings were in bed and dad, and I would help mom wrap some of the gifts. And then, but
Mhm.
most of all, we spent a lot of time on preparing the dinner, the Christmas dinner.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
that is a great, great treasure for me.
Yeah.
I will always hold that close to my heart.
Mhm.
I shall never
Mhm.
forget it. And although a few years ago our dad tried to talk us out of, doing, all the cooking and
Mhm.
that we were doing and wanting to go out to dinner, I told him no, simply not. I treasured that so much. That's just how
Mhm.
close to my heart it is. I refuse to do it any other way because that gave us joy, and as you
Mhm.
would imagine, an immense uh an immense bond,
Hmm.
again.
Yeah.
I mean, there are
Mhm.
some things you cannot put a price on,
Right.
simply
Right.
cannot
Right.
buy it. I don't care how much money you have, you know
Mhm.
and even now I don't want to, not this year yet anyway. I don't want a restaurant meal. I want home cooked food.
Right.
Me and my sisters, again, our closeness, I'd rather do it. I don't. It's not hurting any of us. We enjoy doing
Yep.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now we're passing it
Yep.
down to the nieces and the nephews. So we assign
Mhm.
them to do some cooking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next question, actually. Well, my next question is this: Can Ann cook, y'all?
She
Yeah,
can.
I could cook.
She can.
Pretty good.
She
She's
really
grown
can.
into the love of cooking.
I'm
Now
not.
she
I'm
hasn't
not fit for
always been
nothing.
such a great cook.
I'm not. I'm not
Get in
fit
there.
for nothing.
Oh my goodness.
I just had to make sure. See, I know she can sing, so I just wanted to make sure.
I can cook. I gotta live.
I think as her singing ability progressed and all that, I think she started putting her feet and everything else into it. But she really can cook. We really do
Yeah.
enjoy what she
Yeah.
puts
Mhm.
together.
I dibble and dabble here and there.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So tell me, Lisa, what new, and all of you can answer this and chime in, what new traditions are you established? I know you just said that you're now teaching those nieces and nephews how to cook, but are
Mhm.
there any other holiday traditions that you are now putting in place going forward?
Well, I don't know if we're going to call it a holiday tradition, but the one thing we introduce our dad to is he's going to have to start shopping girls because mom used to go shopping with us all the time. So we did convince him to go shopping with us. Was it mom's birthday weekend when we were all together?
Yes.
And he went with
Mhm.
us. He went with us. We talked him into doing a shopping event with us. And we drove over to Thomasville, and he hung out with us for the whole day. And at the end of the day, he said, "See, this is why I don't go shopping with you guys, because you had me spending all this money." But he was buying things that he needed. So now, that's to me, that's going to be one of our newer traditions, is to get him to go shopping with us a lot more. Because
Yeah.
he's the one that's always giving you a list to go, here, get this, get that. And we're like, no, you're going. Because mom used to go all the time. So now you need to go.
Mhm.
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 So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's one
Yep.
tradition, I think.
Okay.
One new
Okay.
one.
I like that. Y'all getting dad out there. All right.
Mhm.
If you have anything to add to that.
Can't think of anything at the time, but only that I would like to, and we're working on it. Basically, kind of what Lisa said, trying to get him out of the house.
Mhm.
He doesn't seem to want to leave the house that much, so
Yeah.
we're working on that. That's what I'd like to see him do, and
Mhm.
just kind of introduce and expose him to a little more things bit by bit, gradually. And
Yeah.
and then
They were
perhaps
married. They were married for 64 years, so he was really dependent on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
so
of course that's the time, as you said earlier, Reverend Rebecca, when you reflect on things that your mate, partner did, your spouse did, uh,
Mhm.
previously, especially for dad after being married all those years. I mean, they moved out of their parents' home into, together.
yeah.
So all those things that mom did, it's really come to fruition to him, or he can see the light now,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
how much she did.
Yeah.
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 Things he never had to think about at all.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I've learned how to repair my air conditioner this past year. I I learned how to repair the flush valve inside my toilet this year. Of course, I know how to change all the filters and everything around in the air conditioners, and the
Yeah.
refrigerator. Getting up into these ceilings in here is not easy, and so I've learned, I've found my boldness with the step ladder and all those things, and every time I have to do any one of those things, it
Mhm.
triggers that memory
Yeah.
Right,
of that.
right.
Hey, and so
Mhm.
I'll say, okay, husband, and I still have
Yeah.
these conversations
To have
sometimes.
conversations. Yeah.
Too.
Mhm.
But, but I still have, okay, husband, you see what I'm having to do.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I hear him say, Rebecca, no, he would say, Rebecca Jane, let's go on that ladder. So,
Ah.
there's still that sense of him protecting me from, you know, uh, from the other side of things, or from, I don't like to say
Excuse me.
heaven
Bless you.
if we're
Mhm.
Christian. Um, but I think of him more in the arms of God, in that safety of God.
Yeah.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
Yeah.
I'm disrupting.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah.
disrupting.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, if you don't leave me alone.
Yeah, how dare you?
So so anyway, but that's those things help me get through and help me cope with my grief, especially on the hardest of days.
Mhm.
Dr. Yolanda will be joining us momentarily, and she is in studio. She's just waiting to come on.
Mhm.
So I do want to ask you all, um, what makes you feel most supported? As you've been grieving, what has made you feel most supported? And I'm asking this question because I want to help people who don't often, they don't know what to do. They don't
Mhm.
know how they can support people, or they're concerned they're going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. So,
Mhm.
and during this time that you've gone through, what has made you feel most supported?
Yeah, I would say my sisters just being able to talk and sometimes I just take some time to myself and just God and I,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Mhm.
really just praying and asking him for a lot of comfort and strength, especially during this time because I think for me I show that toughness on the outside
Mhm.
and but yeah, it's been hard, but I just lean and depend on my sister and I have a lot of moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I just try and stay strong and okay, get it together, girl.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So but yeah, my support system, God and my sisters. Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Viv?
Same. Hate to be redundant, but my sisters being there all the time
Mhm.
and being able to be who I am and say it like I want to say it, you know, and cry as long as I need to. Just having them there to lean on at any given moment, pretty much. And then I also, because I too love music, um, I will think of or listen to some good old traditional gospel jubilee music,
Hmm.
Yeah.
like they say, that stuff that helps you to stand, that brought you from way back when to now. It just gives me so much solace and strength and encouragement to go on. I think about my uh, maternal grandmother. She was, oh my gosh, she was just so heavy and sincere
Mhm.
Yeah.
into living a Christian life. And I'm not
Yes.
talking about just in front of us. I mean, it was down to her toes. And
Hmm.
I tell some of my friends that my grandmother helped put that in me too, to be sincere about Jesus, to be
Mhm.
sincere about my walk with Jesus and who he is and all, because
Hmm.
she was one of those serious, serious women. And
Yeah.
I was close to her. I mean, she didn't play the radio. Do you hear me? And
Mhm.
so I
Hmm.
I really contribute a lot of my helping me to stand taller, shoulders back, and that strength that I need on those days is
Yeah.
things that my grandmother used to say, and then
Mhm.
those good old jubilee traditional gospel songs that really got some real meat to them,
Yeah.
And it's, I tell you, it's just nothing like it. I love it. I just love it, and it's very helpful for me.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa.
Piggyback on what both sisters said. In addition to, mom was a huge journaler. She journaled a lot.
Mhm.
And we must have found, when we were kind of clearing out some things, maybe 8 to 10 journals.
Mhm.
So I was fortunate enough to keep one, and we shared some of the others with some of my cousins who asked for them. So I
Wow.
find sometimes that I, get solace in picking up that journal and just,
Yes.
turning some pages and reading some things that she's captured.
Mhm.
It's usually she did a lot of reading the Bible in her quiet time, and she
Mhm.
would make notes while she was reading.
Always.
So a lot of
Yes.
that was me just going back, turning some pages, and just looking at her handwriting. And just
Yes.
right now, I have a page that she wrote, a letter she sent to me, had to be 5 years ago, about the importance of marriage. And I have it taped to my refrigerator right now.
Yeah.
And I look at that often too. So it's just,
Yeah.
having those things to, tangible for me. Like I
Yeah.
said, her journal is a lot what keeps me strong and keeps me going. Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wow, everything you all shared has just touched me in such an amazing way because
Yeah.
one, that you all have each
Hmm.
other and you have allowed yourselves to lean in on each other. Because we know a
Hmm.
lot of times when a family member transitions, when they leave
Hmm.
this natural life into eternal life, uh,
Yes. Hmm.
sometimes families can just totally fall apart. And I know because your parents were married for so very long, that was
Hmm.
the glue. Your mom was the glue. Uh,
Mhm.
Yes. Mhm.
and so
Mhm.
for you all to lean in on each other instead of
Yeah.
pulling away, I want to just not just, I don't want to use the word commend, but I
Hmm.
want you all to really appreciate that. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so important. The other thing that you share, just some of the other things that are supporting you. I
Hmm.
know that you have friends and things, but I love, Lisa,
Yes.
said that mom's journals, because I journal like crazy. I have
Yeah.
volumes, volumes. And I've already told
Mhm.
my daughter, if anything happened to me, your eyes only. Because oh my gosh, there's some stuff.
Mhm.
Oh my Lord. But I was thinking about that, and I'm not in any rush to leave here, but I hope that it's someday it brings
Right.
her that kind of comfort.
Right.
And
Yeah.
even when you talked about your mom's handwriting, so I'll go
Yes.
and pull
Mhm.
books off of these shelves
Mhm.
because my
Mhm.
husband has written in so many of them,
Yeah.
and it also helps me hear his voice.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I still have voicemails. I tell people this all the time,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Mhm.
you know this because you've called my phone. You know that it's going to say the voicemail is full, right?
It's cool. Mhm.
Husband and I were dating. He left all those little, them little messages.
Yes.
And so I go back and I listen to them. And
Wow.
one
Mhm.
day when I was listening to one of the messages, and I was still living here in Florida, y'all, before I moved back to Indianapolis the first time. And
Mhm.
his voice was, he said, I'm thinking about you today, and I'm trying to be with you the best way I can under the circumstances. I thought, now you hear that kind of message after, and I thought, Lord, he's talking to me. But, oh my God, that message touched my soul. And
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
so I'm thankful, those are sentimental things to me, but I'm
Mhm.
thankful for those
Mhm.
and being able um to have that. But I'm thankful also. I have some, my family that has supported me through this time.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
I have some wonderful, wonderful friends that have Oh my goodness, they have held me up and held me together. I have friends that travel to visit me and everything, church family.
Wonderful.
So many people that have just um, supported me during this time, and even you
Yeah.
all being here today, sharing with
Mhm.
me in this moment. Um,
And
that's
it is a good thing too to have that village. You know, I have a couple of girlfriends who, you know, when I'm feeling a little different or whatever, I'll call them, and you know, it seems like they know what to say.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And you know, it's good to have that as an extended part of your village as well. You know, I have my sisters. True enough, I love you both dearly, but it's also good to have that extended circle of friends.
Oh yeah. Oh
True
yeah.
friends, true
Mhm.
friends.
Right.
Well, I'm going to read this comment, and then we'll transition to the next to getting Dr. Yolanda in. Rochelle said, "I always pray to God before I comfort someone grieving. I know grief is hard to get through, so I go to God and ask Him what to say. I know that sometimes when people are grieving, they don't want to hear about God. Some
Yep.
people are angry at God
Mm.
when a loved one passed. So I always try to be sensitive to someone grieving. I want to
Yep.
be their comfort, but I just don't want to say anything." And
Yep.
Right.
Rachel, you said something so important that
Very.
Mhm.
you pray about it. Okay, Lord,
Yes.
that
Yes.
is so important. Viv, I
Yes.
see you nodding. Talk to us about that piece of praying before you try to comfort someone.
I love, love, love that because she's not going in on this to that with that person on her own.
Yeah.
Right.
She's seeking God first, who's definitely going to guide her in the right way. And that is so important because there are many times that we say things, we want to say something, we don't know what to say, we don't know how to say it sometimes. You know, you don't know exactly where that person is. And then sometimes you insert foot in mouth, and then later you're so regretful for it, you know. And just to know that you further hurt someone who's already in pain, you
Yeah.
know. So I
Unknowingly.
love, love, love that because she seeks God first, who's going to give her the right thing to say. And he's going to probably, more than likely, he's going to let her know when to cut off,
Yeah.
you know, as my mom says. And then that's what my mom did a lot of. He'll give you what to say, and he'll also help you to tap you on the shoulder, say, okay, that's enough. And enough
Yeah.
is enough means that it's just enough. You don't have to try to
Right.
put a cherry on top or whipped cream or none of that. Enough is enough. Sometimes it does not take a whole lot.
Right.
Just the right amount and the right thing said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when
Yeah.
I was a chaplain, one of the things we learned was to practice presence. And a lot of
Mm.
times when you're going into a room of someone who their loved one is transitioning or something,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do a lot of talking. They
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily even want you to do a lot of talking. Sometimes they
Mm-mm.
just need your presence there
Yeah.
and know that you are
Mm-hmm.
going to be attentive to whatever is occurring in that moment. Now, I'm getting ready to call Dr. Yolanda White in. Ladies, do you want to hang out with me? I know Ann has.
Yes.
You want to hang
Yes.
out, or you gotta?
I'll listen for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, all right, Ann. Okay, so I want to thank
Mhm.
you all first, though, for just sharing so much, and we're going to bring Dr. Yolanda White in. Dr. Yolanda White, thank you so much for.
Hi, Dr. Yolanda.
Let's see you. Okay, she's no longer muted. So Dr. Yolanda White is she has her doctorate in psychology, and Yolanda, I know that you want to, I know you have a lot to talk about with us on this evening. And I'm going to add another question to your list. But before we do that, first, how are you? Can you hear me? We can't hear you. I think Dr. Yolanda might be.
Might be
Can
muted.
you hear us, Yolanda? Okay, she's going to try to get it together.
Reverend Rebecca, I wanted to add one other little tidbit that you
Okay,
just
go ahead.
shared that resonated with me. As many of you may not know, my sister Ann is an aneurysm survivor.
Yes.
And that day that she was rushed over to Morton Plant, and we were all called there. I got different texts from some of the members at the church that she was headed to the hospital. I can't tell you how much it meant when you walked through those doors in that room and you came and prayed with us. And it was so neat. Those prayers that you prayed.
Yep.
And I'm very thankful that God moved on your heart for you to come and spend that time to pray with us. And I just want to say thank you. I haven't said it enough.
Yeah.
We were very appreciative.
Yeah.
We were very appreciative.
Very much so.
So presence, yes.
Yeah.
Presence is a big thing. And you didn't say much. You came and you said that no matter what, if it's a 5-minute prayer or 20-minute prayer, you said what God laid on your heart, and then you went about your way. And we were thankful for that. So thank you.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
You all are welcome. I think that forever bonded us, right? That
Yep.
Yes.
that was
Yes.
the creation
Indeed.
of that sisterhood. And
Indeed.
y'all tearing. Y'all can tear. I'm gonna try to refrain just for however long I can. I'm gonna do that by adding. Dr. Yolanda, are you there? I see your mic is muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, her mic is muted. Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Okay. Well, you there, Yolanda? I don't know. I think she's just having some audio issues. It might be. Are you connected to a headset or to your computer? Let's see if I can.
Okay.
She's not muted anymore.
No, she's not, but we still can't hear you.
Yeah, I still can't hear her though.
And well, what we want to do, maybe Dr. Yolanda, if you can leave out and maybe come back in and we can see if we can get that audio working. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're no matter how we're going to do this, or whether we have to ask Dr. Yolanda to do kind of an addition to this conversation, because we definitely want her expertise. Not sure what's going on with the audio, but we definitely need her expertise. One of the questions that you all asked was, at what point should you consider grief counseling for someone that's grieving? And my suggestion is as soon as possible. I think grief counseling, of course, a lot of times they offer grief counseling in group settings, but it also can be individualized counseling. And I think it's important for people to be able to have that skill set as they're navigating grief, so that it is a journey instead of, you're stuck in the same place.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that your grief is, is going to be, you're going to go through those stages of grief and then it's going to be over with. I think grief kind of ebbs and flows.
Yes.
And so I think that your journey, that's exactly what it is. It's a journey, but having going through counseling, it at least helps you have some tools to navigate that. You want to add anything to that, Lisa Ann or VA?
I mean, it's we all have experienced, I'm sure my sisters and I, that, there are days when, you have all these happy thoughts and happy memories, and
Mhm.
then it could be just the littlest thing that can trigger you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that it makes your day horrible, because one thing I've learned as I heal, that it's okay to not to be okay,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
nobody's going to look at me differently. So, there's been times when I've, talked to Ann and she says, "Oh, well, I had a moment today." And, and I told her, I said, "And you're very well allowed to have a moment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because, the closeness of us, just having that many years with mom, and I'm very grateful for that. But, at the same time, like I said, never beat yourself up about having a moment to, to cry, to scream, to do
Mhm.
whatever, but just know that it's part of the process, the healing process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find myself talking to mom as if, she was right here.
Mhm.
I have her pictures right by my bed, and I look at them and I talk to her and say, "Good
Mhm.
morning, Natty, with your beautiful self." And
Mhm.
just whenever I want to have that conversation with her, I decided, and I don't care what anybody thinks or says, I'm going
Mhm.
to do just that. I'm going to have that conversation with
Yeah.
my mom because, again, that's something we did daily, and I don't think anything is wrong with me for doing that.
No, nothing at all.
No matter what it looks like to someone else, that's what I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, we're gonna try Dr. Yolanda again, and if we can't get her this time, she says she can hear us. Can you talk to us so we can see if we can hear you? I'm thinking that maybe she didn't. Can you talk, Yolanda? Because I don't see your mouth even moving. So can you try to? Okay, okay, we still can't hear you. What we're gonna do is maybe we're gonna Yolanda, I'll talk to you a little later, and what we'll try to do is do an additional segment where Yolanda and I can have a one-on-one, and that way we can just add these videos together so that
Okay.
we can give the folks what they
Mhm.
want, and that way we're not
Yeah.
holding her up nor the conversation. So Dr. Yolanda, I'll talk with you after the show, okay? And we'll figure out something so that we can get your comments. We do appreciate you trying, and we'll get it figured out, okay? Thank you all. Okay, so let's see our comment. Um, oh, Sarah says try taking your dad on a resort vacation during the
Oh,
holidays.
Wonderful idea.
that is a good
Okay,
idea.
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
He
Uh,
does love traveling out of
okay,
Yeah.
state, so that's a great idea.
okay, all right,
Mhm.
I'm writing a note right now.
okay. Sarah said grief is hard to overcome because once you start to overcome it, something else happens that triggers and add to the
Mhm.
grief you were finally getting a
Getting a
grip
grip
on.
on.
And that's
Yeah.
what I think. Yeah, it ebbs and it flows.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think if we start normalizing grief instead of trying to, hide it away and tuck it away, I think it helps people heal.
Yes.
When people don't feel
Mhm.
like they have to be embarrassed because they're grieving. And let me be honest, Lord knows that it's the hardest thing to do oftentimes with church folks because we to not mourn like those without hope and all of those things, which is true. We don't grieve
Mhm.
as those without hope. But what
Right.
Mhm.
we do know is that there's still pain a lot of times, emotional
Right.
associated
Mhm.
with loss. And sometimes, like you also just sit in the room with me or whatever. Sit,
Yeah.
Mhm.
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 I think that's helpful.
Oh
So
Yes.
yeah.
before we lose Anne, because I see she
Yes.
got her work face on. Anne, what new insights have you learned about yourself while grieving?
Um, uh, I'm a softie. They want to call me bossy, but I'm not bossy. I'm a softie. I do feel as though that I'm more caring to people and their feelings and all. I find myself, as my mom and my oldest sister do a lot, talking to people in the store that I don't know.
You used to wouldn't
Oh
do
no,
that.
she didn't.
So I'm opening up more because I'm more I'm out there, but I'm quiet in certain surroundings and situations, but I find myself opening up a little more to people and talking as though, like I said, I get it from my mom and my oldest sister, Vivian, that I would not ever do. I would always talk about them. Just speaking of, why are you talking to them? You don't know them. But I'm open. I'm opening up more. I see myself opening up more and not so closed in. I did speak to my sister them and I was like, I need you guys. I said, I want us to be able to have that bond where I don't want to have to go out to the close friends and just talk to them. I want my sisters to know what's going on with me and stuff, and not just always have to go outside to friends. I want to be able to talk to my sisters and let them know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Powerful. Ah,
Mhm.
okay. What
Yes.
about you, Viv? What have you learned about yourself while grieving?
I have really been surprised at the strength that I do have during my grieving.
Mm.
I thought for sure, you know how when you were much younger, whether you were a kid or even a young adult, whenever, because we all know that all of us are going to go at some time.
Yeah.
And whenever I've had a thought about my mom and my dad leaving us, I thought to myself, oh, I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. I thought
Mhm.
I would be wallowing on the floor, up under a table,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
tears, water everywhere, and just acting like a fool, acting like a pure fool.
Mhm.
Um, but praise be to God, the
Mhm.
one and only. His
Mm-hmm.
Majesty is the only one that helped me to be able to stand on my
Yeah.
feet
Yeah.
in public
Mm-hmm.
because I thought I would just melt into
Mhm.
butter.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm. Yep.
just have been amazed at that.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
but I thank God for it, and I hope that that's partly also because of my walk with God that
Mm-hmm.
He's helped me to stand much stronger,
Yeah.
flat-footed than I thought I would ever be able to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not that I worry about, how people see me. I don't worry or care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just I hope that's a little growth.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Mhm.
Thank you, Viv.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
Yeah.
and let me just say this, Anne shortchanged herself because really I would easily um state that, that strength thing is something that you've been walking in since mom
Mm-hmm.
passed. And I have to commend you also because after some discussions from years past that you volunteered to be the caregiver should either one of them go,
mhm.
and you've just been right there, helping dad, assisting him, even though some days you'd call me and you was like, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I
Yeah.
have to applaud you for your
Yeah.
strength in that area.
Yeah.
And for me too, it's been a strength walk. You're never prepared to
Yeah.
lose a loved one, no matter if, they had a terminal long illness or what have you, you're never really prepared for it. But I guess what's comforting to know is that mom is resting in his arms.
Yes,
You know,
Yeah.
every day is a beautiful day and there's no
Mhm.
sickness. And so that alone is comforting for me.
Yes, it
And
is.
it's helped me immensely to understand that, you know, we're just here for a short while.
Yeah.
And while we're here, we got to make it count.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's what's been great for me.
I
So,
totally agree. I've thought of that too. Many times that crosses my mind when I'm feeling a little down is that don't worry, don't feel so bad. She is doing just great. She's
Mhm.
resting in his arms. She is happy. She because and we do. We know without a
yeah.
shadow of a doubt where my mom is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We know. I mean, that was the next thing closest to her heart was just as she would say many many times, and she said with such authority in her voice, and it was
Mhm.
almost like the thunder rolling. She would say, ain't nobody gonna control me and tell me what to do. I'm gonna do what the Lord tell me to do. And
Yes.
I mean, she would say it with such conviction. And
Yeah.
again, we saw it over and over and over.
Yeah.
Not just she didn't just say the words. We saw it.
Yeah.
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 So that does and has given me ease and some peace.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, for this very important conversation. Um, the reason I asked the last question, what have you learned about yourself? Because I believe that if we grieve without learning anything,
Mm,
then it it leaves us stuck in our grief, right? It leaves
mhm.
Right.
us stuck.
That's
I
absolutely.
think when we can look and say, I've learned this about myself,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
and be able to reflect on that, whether it's growing, whether you have, realized a strength that you had, or you've realized a growing edge that you might have. For me,
Mhm.
I've learned something about myself in ministry, um,
Mhm.
and who I am as a minister. I think will forever be changed as a result of my husband's death and his sickness and everything. So, and
Mhm.
that's a good thing. That I think that's such a good thing because there's some insight. You know, it was one thing to be a chaplain, and I've lost a lot of people over these last. My
Mhm.
goodness,
Mhm.
there's a lot of family members we've
Mhm.
lost. And as of this past May, my mom lost her last sibling. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of folks that we've lost over the last, especially last 12 years. But
Mhm.
as I've watched my husband transition and be able to be with him during the sacredness of dying,
Mm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
it forever changed the way that I will interact with people in their
Mhm.
process, and also how I relate to people when I'm doing ministry now, which I think
Right.
is really a blessing. Yolanda
Mhm.
wants us to know, um, you've heard about the 5 stages of grief, and Elizabeth Kubler Ross is the one that came up with these 5 stages of grief. And the stages are denial. No, my
Mhm.
gosh, nope, this ain't real. This ain't real.
Yep.
This ain't real. This
Mhm.
didn't happen.
Mhm.
Nope, nope, nope. Anger. And that anger sometimes could be towards even the person that passed away. It could be towards God. It can be towards yourself.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
mad, just upset. And then the bargaining. Okay, um, well, maybe if I did this, or maybe if they, or even bargaining with God, uh,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
a depression that comes,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
acceptance. And this can be a continuum where you might go through these
Yep.
stages, at different times. But the good thing is that you you should notice that you're going through the stages. If you feel
Right.
yourself stuck, for too long in one stage, then you definitely need to find you some support. You need to find a therapist, a grief support group.
Yeah.
Uh, it's important that if you have a counseling team at your church, that's great. Tap into them. But if they're not professional counselors, sometimes you gotta go to a professional counselor because you might need some professional
Yeah.
medication to help you get
Mhm.
through the season. And there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with that.
Wrong with that.
The thing
Nothing.
is to tap into your supports, tap into those resources that are available to you, and
Mhm.
make sure that you don't isolate to such a degree that you find yourself so withdrawn from everyone that coming back and re-engaging is not happening for you. If you can't
Mhm.
engage, then you definitely need to be talking to a therapist. If you've isolated to such a degree that you're spending all your waking moments alone, and
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, and you don't feel like you're making progress through your grief, then you definitely need to be talking with someone. As I
Mhm.
indicated earlier, for those of you that are just now coming in, we're going to ask Dr. Yolanda White maybe to do a short segment with me so we can follow up on this particular topic, because I don't want to leave anybody without that
Right.
professional advice. I can
Mhm.
give you ministerial advice, I can give you chaplain advice, I can give you my own personal experience advice. However, I want to make sure that we do have our professional to share with you
Mhm.
on this important topic. So, ladies, do you have any closing remarks? Anything you want to share as we say Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year to everybody is there? I want just go around. We'll start with the baby of the bunch. And
I just want to say Merry Christmas, and I'm just praying for each of us that God will comfort our hearts and give us the strength that we need to continue to go through, and the right words to say to one another when we
Mhm.
need to speak to one another. So,
Mhm.
Merry Christmas!
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lisa, I
Uh,
think you're next.
and yes, a Merry Christmas to everyone on the call, on the live stream. And I appreciate your comments and just, creating another bond and outlet for us to talk about the things that, not that we are grieving to the point that, we're boohoo crying or anything, but it's nice to be able to share. And you know what they say, I pray for you and you pray for me, and we're going to watch God change
Yes,
things. So
yes.
Merry Christmas to everyone, and Happy New Year as well.
I thank you, Reverend Rebecca and Dr. White. I look forward to still learning and being
Yes.
able to gain some information from you as well. I am very appreciative of those of you who are also on the stream this evening and who are willing to share your thoughts and ideas, and that you have, you know, not felt so selfish that you would hold it in, because some people, they are hold things in because they don't want other people to know that, they experienced this or they experienced that. I thank God for this. I haven't met you all. I don't need to necessarily meet you all in person, but I thank God for this, what I call a sisterhood, a coming together, one sister offering help to the other one genuinely, you know. Uh, we can all contribute or offer something to help the other person, little
Mhm.
or big. Again, I appreciate this talk here. It's been absolutely wonderful. I wish every one of you a very Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year, and that God continues to strengthen us each. As they say, it definitely takes a process. I know this now from experience, and we should not feel any kind of way as to how long it takes either of us.
Mhm,
We are all individuals,
mhm.
but collectively we're stronger with each other. And
Yeah.
again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
And just to add, because I know some people may know and don't know, but we're still going through, even for next year. Mom actually passed January the 29th on this year.
Mhm,
So we continue to just ask for prayers,
mhm.
for strength for us. And as Lisa said, I pray for you and you pray for me. We're all a part of God's family. So
Yep.
Yes.
that's where we're at.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to leave you guys. I
Well,
love you
Hey,
all.
thank you
bye.
all. We love you too. Thank you so
Love
much.
you, sis.
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you so much for sharing this evening, sharing, giving us a glimpse of who your mom was. And of course, we see your in you. Um, and
Mhm.
so thank you so much for sharing. And I want you to have a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Um,
Yes, and you too.
Mhm.
Ann and I have our birthdays are so close together, and we've been talking about doing something with for our birthday for the
I'm
how
gonna have to kidnap her.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yep.
Because she missed the last birthday outing.
Yes. Hmm.
I did. And so we're gonna do something. But on tonight, I
Yeah.
just want to thank you all so much. Thank you, Dr. Yolanda, for chiming in as best you could on
Yes.
in this conversation through the comments. So make sure you view Dr. Yolanda White's comments and what have you. Okay, so I would keep going and going, but oh, no. Thank you, Tuesday Together Talk audience. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. By the time I see you all, I might do a little something before for the New Year's or New Year Eve or something just to stop in and say hi. But I want to thank you all once again for your patience throughout this year as I'm trying to get my rhythm back and I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you know, find my own new traditions and things. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Mhm.
much for just being patient with me through this process. I am Reverend Rebecca Burrow, founder and CEO of Building Reconciliation, Inclusion, Diversity, and Gender Equity. You can find us at www.reconciliationandequity.com. Follow us on Facebook at Reconciliation and Equity, on YouTube and Instagram at Reconciliation and Equity. We're all over the place at Reconciliation and Equity. I'm trying to push this thing, y'all. But anyway, thank you all so much. Tuesday Together Talk audience. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And take us out with a Merry Christmas song. Come on now, Ed.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, God.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Good
Okay.
night.
Hold on as we get ready to do our outro, and the rest of us is going into the studio for a minute. So good night, Tuesday Together Talk audience.
Good night.